Good afternoon, Stephenville, and welcome into this week's edition of the Blitz Bit, coming at you live from Jake and Dorothy's restaurant on East Washington Street. I'm Brad Keith, the sports editor at the Stephenville Empire-Tribune, joined, as I am every week, by Glen Rose Reporter sports editor Nathan Burrell. He's also an ET sports staff writer. This week we're going to tell you everything you need to know about Stephenville Brownwood, Dublin Santo, Hico Hillsboro, Stephenville Faith Fort Worth Harvest, Lingleville Dublin Premier, and of course those Tarleton Texans heading to West Alabama to take on the Tigers. Nate, we'll start with Stephenville Brownwood. It's the Battle of 377, rivalry in the air, especially with the Jackets coming off the loss to the Lions last year.
Well, the Brownwood Lions are certainly a different team this year than they were last year. Going to be hardly impossible to replace Jackson Shipley, who has moved on and went on to the University of Texas. But in addition to Shipley, they've lost a lot of starters. Due coming back, they have Mitch Stevens at quarterback, who's averaging over 100 yards rushing and over 100 yards passing in each of the games so far. And Kevin Vaccaro, third-team super teamer on defense, is going to be playing defensive back. The only thing about a defensive back, Brad, is defensive backs don't have to tackle Avion Edwards. That's going to be up to the linebackers and the defensive line, and Avion's going to have what I think is going to be a field day against that Brownwood defense. Yeah,
if Vaccaro is tackling Edwards, that's a bad night for the Brownwood defense.
That's
he's
a problem.
Not getting hit till he's 10 or 12 yards.
Because he's three levels deep.
And he's already averaging 8.5 yards per carry, 376 yards on 44 carries. Very impressive start for him. We knew that was coming.
Well, Avion's a special player that you only see once every 10 years or so. He's a three-way all-state player, special teams, defense, and offense. And Coach Gillespie is just, I think I said it last week, the game plan against Abilene Wiley, just give Avion the ball. They did that in the second half, just kind of run the clock out. I think that's going to be the case here this week, and Stephenville should have no problem with this one.
One key to the game I want to mention before we move on, the Stephenville offensive line. Now, of course, you can say offensive line plays key every week, any week, no matter who you play. But this week, Brownwood's going to bring pressure from all over the field, any angles, any down and distance. But hey, that offensive line's been playing really well. If they keep it up Friday night, should be a big Stephenville win.
Well, it's going to be a big test for them because Brownwood is going to bring the pressure, and that's going to be, I think, a giant stepping stone for the wall when they get 2 or 3 rounds deep and when they see Aledo again in the playoffs, which everybody is expecting that they will, because I guarantee you Coach Buck's going to bring pressure the next time Aledo and Stephenville face off.
Absolutely. Hey, let's fast forward to Saturday real fast, and we'll come back to Friday. Tarleton State's leaving on the road. They're going to make that long road trip to West Alabama. You spoke to Coach Kerry Fowler. How is that team handling the letdown after almost upsetting Abilene Christian, and how are they preparing for this week?
Well, Coach Fowler's obviously disappointed in the way the game went down last Thursday, but he understands that that's what comes with useful teams. He's got several freshmen and sophomores on his team. I believe he has
more than
40.
50. Yeah,
50. That's including the red shirts, freshmen. But he's got over 40 that are actually seeing time, and that's what comes with it. It's the lack of consistency, and that's what happened in the Abilene Christian game. Some players didn't step up and make the plays, and Coach Fowler told me, he goes, there are 5 games, 5 plays in every football game that's going to make the difference, and unfortunately for them, those 5 plays got away from them against Abilene Christian. They weren't able to hang on.
Let's be honest with ourselves. Tarleton opened some eyes last week.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of people will say there's no such thing as a moral victory, but coming off a 3-8 season, opening the season with the number 4 team in the country, you can take a little bit of a moral victory from that one, because the fact is this Tarleton football team is extremely young, extremely inexperienced, but they're pretty good.
I've already seen your story for tomorrow's Blitz, which you can of course pick up in the Thursday Empire-Tribune. I know one thing I read was it's going to be air raid versus ground and pound.
That's it. Coach Fowler said that the West Alabama Tigers are a typical SEC football team. They're going to run the football. They're going to play hard-nosed, fast-paced defense, and that's what the Tarleton Texans can expect, and that's what it is. Tarleton's going to go in. They're going to want to throw the ball around. West Alabama is going to do the exact opposite. They're going to try to run it up the middle, get to the outside, and use their speed. Their defensive backs are extremely quick, and that's going to be the key matchup. West Alabama's defensive backs against Tarleton State's air raid offense. West Alabama, if they pick Nick Stevens off twice, like Abilene Christian picked him off twice, that could be 14 points for Alabama.
Wow, okay. Well, and of course you mentioned them being like an SEC team. There's a reason for that. The Gulf South Conference footprint, much like the SEC, their tradition, much like the SEC as well. Let's get back to Friday night. Dublin's hosting Santo, and Coach Bob Servetto thinks the Lions got a chance at victory Friday.
Well, they took the first step. They scored a touchdown last week.
Luis Garcia on a
Luis
sweep.
Garcia, 19-yard touchdown run on a sweep. You can't win if you don't score. And Dublin scored last week, so maybe the next step is a win.
Santo coming off a victory over Savoy, just a second-year-old program. They also lost to Gateway Charter. Hard to tell what they have. A big chance for the Lions on Friday. Heiko and Hillsborough. Heiko's averaging 489 rushing yards per game. Wow, let's say that again, 489. They have 988 rushing yards in 2 games. They're averaging 62 points per game. They've only played Dublin and De Leon, but Nate, they're only playing Hillsborough Friday.
Well, I've seen a lot of Hillsborough, being the sports editor at Glen Rose. Hillsborough is a 3A school, and they are in a district with Glen Rose, so I have had a chance to see them. And Heiko's got a pretty good chance to keep that average up. Hillsborough is going through a very, very uphill fight just to try to get to mediocre. I mean, that entire program is still in shambles, but they're getting better. They are improving. They're just not there yet. Last year against Glen Rose, I went down there and I watched them play, Brad, and Glen Rose, with their backup quarterback, who was also their starting quarterback, who had never taken a snap, they ran for over 200 yards.
Wow. And you think Heiko's not going to run for 200?
And that was with, like I said, a backup quarterback who was also the starting defensive back for Glen Rose last year, and they just kind of ran it on the ground and kind of did whatever they wanted to against Hillsborough. And Hillsborough's a little bit better running team than Glen Rose is.
I got a prediction for you. Heiko, big. Okay, Stephenville Faith, Fort Worth Harvest. I got good news for Coach Cody Barton. Ran into him last night, and I told him, Coach, they're not Cherokee. And he said, no joke. Fort Worth Harvest isn't Cherokee. They are TAPS Division I. They will be a test still for Stephenville Faith.
They will, but Stephenville Faith has Shad Cole, the impressive young freshman, playing quarterback and safety. And at that level, it really only takes 1 or 2 good guys to carry a team. I mean, obviously you want the rest of the team to pick up, but Coach Cody Martin's got a good, solid football team with 1 or 2 superstars. I know they're going to be missing Daniel Winkard, but Jared Velheisen and Chad Cole should be able to carry him through.
Absolutely. The other game going on in the area, Lincolnville against Dublin Premier. Got to think the Cardinals are going to get a win.
Well, Dublin Premier, I don't think anything else could go wrong for that program, short of actually not being able to field a team. First week of games, they had several players not report. Just really struggling over there. Whereas Lincolnville, working on that uphill battle to try to get back, just the 2nd year of its program after 43 years off. They're moving in the right direction. I think a win will be just what it takes to propel them up a level. And
we have to mention Lincolnville, that game at 4:30 on Friday there in Lincolnville against Dublin Premier. The other high school games Friday night are all at 7:30 p.m. And, of course, Tarleton State at West Alabama on Saturday.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Thank you. That's all we have this week for this edition of the Blitz Bit. Be sure to check out the Thursday edition of the Stephenville Empire-Tribune to get your copy of the All-Out Blitz. And don't forget to come by and visit all the good folks and those world champion chicken fried steaks right here at Jake and Dorothy's Restaurant. This is the Blitz Bit on the Empire-Tribune for Nathan Burrell. I'm Brad Keith.